Welcome to this rapid revision video looking at policing since 1900. By 1900, policing was well established, with every region in Britain having its own police force. Most policing was done on foot, with officers on the beat, and there was little in the way of information sharing and no databases or criminal records kept centrally. In the 20th century, policing changed dramatically. Women were first recruited into the police in the 1920s, initially mostly working with women and children. Training was improved and standardised, with the Police Training College established in 1947. Technology took on a greater role in detecting and preventing crime, and specialist units dealt with specific crimes and types of police work. Over the course of the 20th century, the cost of policing increased dramatically for the government. One example of change is technology. We're going to have a look at lots of different examples of this now. There'll be a lot of information on the screen, but I'll give you a chance to pause it and screenshot this or take notes if you'd like to. Firstly, there were fingerprints. In 1901, the fingerprint branch began to keep records of every arrested person to help detect criminals if they were arrested again. Also blood. The discovery of blood groups in 1901 allowed criminals to be identified from blood samples. Photography was another breakthrough. Evidence was recorded from crime scenes using cameras. Microscopes could also be used to identify tiny evidence such as blood spots. Bicycles were also employed. From 1909, some officers were issued with bicycles to help them travel efficiently and catch criminals more easily. In fact, some of the rural forces adopted bicycles even more early. Cars. By the 1930s, cars with two-way radios were commonplace. And then there was the 999 emergency telephone number. This was introduced as well. This allows people to quickly call the police. Computers were introduced in the 1960s. The Met began using computers to organise payroll initially, but by the 1980s the police national computer was launched, which could keep records of 25 million people, whose details could be looked up in a flash. DNA. The first convictions were secured by matching DNA samples from victims and perpetrators in 1988. And finally, the National Automatic Fingerprint Identification System was introduced. This was launched in 1995. The database allows fingerprints to be shared to identify criminals. More change came with preventing crime. Technology is increasingly used to prevent crime as well as detect it. Breathalyzers would be one example of this. These are used to test the blood alcohol level of suspected drink drivers, and they were introduced in 1967. And yes, they do identify drink drivers if they are over the limit, but knowing that they could be used is also a deterrent. Speed cameras were also introduced. These are a deterrent to motorist speeding, and so are typically highly visible. If a motorist does speed, the camera takes their photograph and allows a fine to be issued or other punishment. Then there's closed circuit television or CCTV. That films locations, deterring people from committing crimes in those areas, knowing that if they do so, they're going to be on camera. And there's mass video surveillance. Private companies are contracted to process large amounts of video footage to forecast crime or potential acts of terrorism. And then there's biometrics. This is something that you might be familiar with modern electronic devices that you use yourselves. Unique physical features such as eyes, fingerprints, and face recognition can secure devices and access to buildings and data. There's also been change in detecting crime as well as deterring it. Technology is increasingly used to detect crime and solve cases. Communications is really important. Recording of evidence at the crime scene and improved record keeping allows police to share information. Digital devices, including modern smartphones, allow immediate recording and sharing. Forensics. Specialised officers search for minute evidence, including hair, blood and DNA samples. These can be compared to the national database of previously arrested persons or to samples taken from suspects. And then there's data. National databases such as the National DNA Database allow better record keeping. And then there's computer software. Automatic video analysis, including AI, can complete tasks far quicker than an individual officer could complete them. Another change is the emergence of specialist officers. The introduction of new technologies and techniques has led to increasing specialisation of roles within police forces. Some of these tackle specific types of crime, others come about as a result of specific and emerging threats. For example, the bomb squad was formed in 1971 in response to IRA attacks, and with the rise of internet and cybercrime, the high-tech crime unit was established in 2001. There was also the fraud squad. This specialism investigates financial and economic crimes, including art theft. Officers are experts in financial markets and more. First formed in 1946, the formal name today is the Specialist Organised and Economic Crime Command. Then there are drug trade units. Following the Misuse of Drugs Act in 1971, specialist officers began to work to disrupt the distribution of drugs, tackle drugs gangs, and monitor known drug users. And also there's the National Crime Agency. Set up in 2013, this specialism aims to identify, monitor and predict the activities of drug traffickers and preventing drugs from entering the country as well. Every local police force has a drug squad to disrupt the supply of drugs and raid addresses where such crimes occur. Another specialism were the dog handling units. Police Labradors, like those in the picture, were first used in London in 1938 to accompany officers on the beat, with the specialist dog section being established in 1946. Within a decade, most police forces were using dogs. Today, specially trained dogs are used to provide a deterrent to disorder at large events, sniff out drugs or track missing persons, and to find and catch criminals and even to find explosives, like this spaniel here. Special branch was also established as a specialism. Every police force has a special branch attached to MI5 intelligence. And remember, MI5 means military intelligence, so they're dealing with some pretty serious stuff. They mount surveillance to identify, monitor and prevent serious security threats like terrorist attacks. Amongst all this change, there is also some continuity, like community law enforcement. Modern policing has a focus on prevention, and working with local people and relying on the cooperation and assistance of members of the community remain really important. Police Community Support Officers, or PCSOs, can assist police by deterring antisocial behaviour and by dealing with low-level crime, reducing workload for police officers. Also there's the Neighbourhood Watch scheme. This is a committee of local people who encourage people to be vigilant and report crimes. Set up in 1982, about 3.8 million households are believed to be involved. It was hoped that this would also reduce fear of crime in these communities. Neighbourhood Watch originated in the USA, in Chicago, and was part of Margaret Thatcher's politics that argued for greater individual responsibility and less state involvement in communities. This is similar to the idea of the hue and cry from Saxon times, believe it or not. However, the Neighbourhood Watch scheme is voluntary. Remember, the hue and cry wasn't. However, there have been controversies over its effectiveness, and we're going to consider those now. Supporters of the Neighbourhood Watch scheme focus on how it encourages local people to have a role in tackling crime, having a role in supporting the police, and helping people feel safer. They believe it's effective at reducing antisocial behaviour. Opponents of the scheme claim that it is about saving money by getting ordinary, and let's remember untrained people, to do work normally done by police officers. They argue it encourages some people to be nosy neighbours, and participants are typically older people who might not represent the rest of the community. Neighbourhood watch areas are often in wealthier localities too, where crime is often lower and the need for the scheme is lower too. Let's consider some interpretations of the scheme. Interpretation 1 is by Bill Pitt, a Member of Parliament speaking about the Neighbourhood Watch scheme in Parliament in 1983. "We have reached a crux. Crime is growing and we are seen as losing the battle. I welcome the suggestion that the community should play its part in conquering crime. I welcome the Neighbourhood Watch. I had strong reservations because I wondered whether people would set up vigilante groups." Now that would be where people take the law into their own hands. Clearly Bill Pitt had some reservations, but he's come round to the idea. Interpretation 2 is an extract from the annual report by Police Commissioner Sir Kenneth Newman in 1986. "We have always sought public cooperation, but in the past we have relied largely on exhortation." That means encouragement. "Over the last 4 years, however, we have been deliberately organising a coherent structure within which the public will be enabled to work with us in a purposeful manner. The building blocks so far are consultative groups, neighbourhood watch schemes, business watch schemes, victim support schemes, crime prevention panels and estate policing projects. Neighbourhood Watch has increased the commitment of members of to the quality of life of their neighbourhood." Now clearly both of these people are quite positive about the scheme, but it seems that Kenneth Newman is pointing out that Neighbourhood Watch is actually a smaller part of a much bigger picture. What do you think? Perhaps you can pop it down in the comments. Our final points then. Policing has changed dramatically since 1900. From the 1920s, women have been recruited into the police. The Police Training College was established in 1947. Technology such as fingerprinting, photography, blood samples and DNA have improved detection and conviction rates. Bicycles and later cars with radios have made police more mobile and responsive. Computers and databases have improved intelligence sharing between police forces. Forensic science and computer software have also improved the prediction and prevention of crime and detection. CCTV, video surveillance, speed cameras and breathalyzers deter crime. Specialist officers now deal with specific crimes, threats and technologies. The Fraud Squad deal with financial crimes, the Bomb Squad and Special Branch with terrorism, and the National Crime Agency disrupts drug gangs, and dog units can help police catch criminals and sniff out threats. PCSOs, that's Police Community Support Officers, assist communities in tackling antisocial behaviour. Since 1982, the Neighbourhood Watch Scheme has encouraged local people to be vigilant of crime and assist police in keeping their locality safe, though debates continue as to the effectiveness of this form of community law enforcement. And that's the end of this rapid revision video. I hope it's been useful to you, and if it has, please do like the video and consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks very much for watching, and for now I'll say goodbye.